The elites want you distracted while they waste your money overseas, prop up puppet programs, and call it soft power. But what they're really doing, flexing your tax dollars in the name of influence, while ignoring the people they claim to serve. Let's talk about the real game they're playing and how we stop it.
To isolate the United States, alienate our allies, and create space for adversaries like Russia and China to fill the void. We face serious global challenges, from Russia's war in Ukraine and instability in the Middle East to great power competition with China. America's diplomats and development experts are our first line of defense. If we are serious about leading globally, we need a capable, strategic, and fully staffed diplomatic corps. Instead, Mr. Secretary, you and Secretary Rubio are gutting the very institutions we rely on to confront these threats. Let's be clear. You've created the largest brain drain in the State Department's modern history, occurring as China and others expand their global footprint while we shrink ours. And you're doing it without a plan, proper consultation, or transparency. When this committee asked for a rationale behind the state's 15% staffing cut, no one could answer.
As chairman of this committee, I've called out this madness for a number of years. Foreign aid programs with zero benefit to America or even to the countries.
These bureaucrats genuinely believe they are the purveyors of truth, justice, and the American way. Though, let's be honest, that's supposed to be Superman. And these people are no Superman. They truly see themselves as the best of the best, the cream of the crop, the ones who keep the real government running. When we talk about the swamp or the deep state, it's not just the shady figures at the CIA, FBI, NSA, or any other agency that came out of FDR's alphabet soup. It's also the bureaucrats who manage and sustain those very institutions
that they're supposedly helping. America, in many cases, would have been better off burning that money than spending it in the ways that it had previously. In the year 2000, the State Department's budget was $9.5 billion. Under Joe Biden, it was over $55 billion. And I don't think that we could say our foreign policy was $45 billion more effective in those years. This past Friday, 1,300 State Department personnel were laid off. But guess what? Between 2007 and 2024, 23,000 new State Department employees had been added. More than the number of agents that Border Patrol is mandated to have by Congress. That to me is an astounding number. America did not get the return that it needed on that investment. I could give you a number of examples that we looked at in the Oversight Subcommittee and on this committee over the years, but I'm going to give you just one right now. The disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan left 13 U.S. service members dead at Abbey Gate. It left people literally hanging off the wings of military aircraft. Left an overrun embassy and billions of dollars left behind, along with millions of dollars of condoms left to the Taliban. Those were real things. Many colleagues in here, they tried to defend that record.
Now, I'm not saying all bureaucrats are bad. I've been a park ranger. I've worked with them. At my post in a fantastic national park, I saw professionals who were specialized, competent, and necessary. Sure, things could have run a bit smoother, but everyone had a purpose. So clearly, the problem lies elsewhere, with a different kind of bureaucrat altogether. It's the kind who believes they're the unquestionable experts, especially those entrenched in places like the State Department. Most of those folks are actually pretty smart for the most part. But here's the thing, the State Department...
The same people who said Afghanistan was a glowing success, that withdrawal was, everything was perfect and flawless and nothing could have been done better. The same people that said that are now begging us not to fix the broken machine that let that happen. That's not diplomacy, that's delusion. They'll call President Trump's effort to eliminate 1,300 duplicative State Department roles self-sabotage and a gift to our adversaries. What they call self-sabotage, we call accountability for the real sabotage of those who led the Afghanistan withdrawal, and the funding of transgender job fairs and LGBTQ musicals and DEI operas and drag show tutorials. We need a State Department that isn't afraid of removing career bureaucrats who think they're above oversight. Many of these so-called experts oversaw 2 decades of failure, from botched regime change to a rising China and wasteful foreign aid. That's not expertise, that is inertia. Congress should not be using taxpayer money to fund permanent jobs programs for globalist insiders, in my opinion. We should be funding a State Department that serves Americans. That means being able to explain why $1 should go from a person's pocket to somebody who is in another country, somebody who is not even an American. Why should that take place? They better be able to explain that. If that rattles the career bureaucrats at Foggy Bottom, then good. They need to remember who it is exactly that they work for.
Doesn't just represent us abroad. It also serves the interests of our foreign intelligence community, including the CIA, or as some like to call it, the clowns in action. Anytime you have a government as massive and far-reaching as the United States, you're going to get waste. And what do you do with waste? You flush it. Now, let's talk about the real game. Experts say the elites rig the markets, print the money, and manipulate the system. But here's the truth. They can't print gold. While the dollar weakens and digital currencies threaten your access to funds, physical gold and silver remain real, tangible, and beyond government control. When banks go digital and emergencies lock you out of your own money, gold and silver don't need an internet connection or permission to be valuable. They're a time-tested insurance policy against tyranny, inflation, and economic collapse. So don't wait until it's too late. Own what the elites are quietly hoarding: physical gold and silver, off the grid. Because when the system crashes, real money talks. And to help you learn more about owning physical gold and silver, we've partnered with a great company, Goldco, which proudly supports this channel, and we deeply appreciate that. Just head over to politgold.com to get more information and see if you even qualify for free silver. That's politgold.com. Now, let's ask the real question. Why is all this government waste being funneled into soft power projects around the globe? Gregory Meeks says if we don't fund these programs, the Chinese will. Well, good. Let them waste their money. These programs don't matter to the people in the developing world. They don't matter to the ports in Africa that China actually wants. They don't matter to the workers laying roads and infrastructure to move cobalt from mines into your Tesla batteries. That's not what China is after, and they certainly don't care about drag puppet shows and other bizarre cultural exports we keep funding. We've uncovered hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, of taxpayer dollars going to these strange programs again and again. And while each drop may seem small, they add up fast. Rooting out this kind of waste, fraud, and abuse is essential if we ever want to avoid raising taxes on hardworking Americans. Yes, I know the big, beautiful bill raises the debt ceiling again, but we're also fighting a range of other issues at the same time. That's why it's frustrating to see USAID money being spent so freely with our tax dollars. To me, it's a terrible waste. We've already saved a lot of money in other areas, so why borrow more just to throw it away overseas? I'd rather see those heartstring-pulling commercials like the ones for Shriners Hospitals or abused animals. Ask the American people directly to support these causes. Honestly, I might even be tempted to give myself. I already give a tithe to some extent, and let's be real, most Americans are incredibly generous. We give billions to charity every year. So why not let these global programs seek voluntary support instead of forcing taxpayers to foot the bill? That, to me, shows Gregory Meeks doesn't really understand the heart of the American people, but he sure understands how to work the American system. Gregory Meeks seems to understand that funneling money into endless programs is somehow more important than being a good steward of that money. But that's not just missing the point, it's a dangerous mindset. Not because it's inherently evil, but because it's easily corrupted, easily blindsided, and quick to justify every expense with, No, we need all this stuff. No, we don't. This isn't an episode of Hoarders, folks. We don't need to be spending massive amounts of taxpayer money on scattered programs across the globe. Charities should be stepping in to handle those issues, not the federal government. And as for this whole soft power excuse, let's be honest, it's not diplomacy, it's a flex. It's not how you build relationships. You build relationships by going to a nation's leadership and saying, let's work together on X, Y, and Z. That's real diplomacy. The Chinese aren't out here pushing social agendas. They're cutting deals. They build infrastructure in exchange for sweetheart contracts. They don't care one bit about LGBT programming. What we've failed to grasp is that Congress is supposed to be the steward of our tax dollars, and right now, it's been a poor one. Meeks wants to say we can't take away their toys. But guess what? Daddy's home, and it's time to clean up the playroom. Maybe even go to bed without supper. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. My name's Brian, and Brian Mast once again knocks it out of the park, as he always does. We love covering him here on the channel. Catch y'all in the next one. Until then, take care.